Overview of broiler industry. Broiler industry is the process which chickens are reared and prepared for meat consumption. Broiler industry structure. The broiler production is a very much an industrial one. There are several distinct components of the broiler supply chain, which are the primary breeding sector, broiler breeder farms, rearing house, laying house, hatcheries, broiler farms, and processing plants. Primary breeding sector consists of companies that breed pedigree stock. Pedigree stock is kept on a high-level biosecure farms. Eggs are hatched in a special pedigree hatchery and their progeny goes on the great-grandparent and grandparent generation and the parent stock. Rearing house. Making a good broiler poultry housing system is very important for keeping your meat birds healthy and productive. This is one of the example of a typical rearing house, also called sheep coop or barn, designed for Alabama-like climate. Broiler poultry house system needs to be located in a higher place free from flood. The selected area for the building, the house will be slightly higher than the surrounding area. The housing will be far from residential area. It will be better if the house is located in calm and quiet places. Make proper drainage system inside the broiler poultry house. Always keep the litter dry inside the house. Ensure the availability of the lighting period. Proper ventilation is a must. Keeping big sized doors and window in the house is a must too. Making a south face house. Doing this will keep to prevent the cold air. Make a fence around the poultry house to keep the bird free from other animals and thief. Keep different age broiler poultry in different houses. Keep sufficient feeders and drinkers inside the broiler poultry house. Laying house. The birds are then moved to broiler breeder laying house or production barns. The birds are typically placed into crates and transported by truck to separate facility. Males and females are raised together at this point. Outwardly, the laying house will resemble the rearing house. The birds are not generally caged, especially since the rooster must mate with the hens to fertile eggs. Nests are provided for laying hens. Hatcheries. Hatcheries take the fertilized eggs, incubate them, and produce day-old broiler chicks. Incubation takes about 21 days. Broiler farms. The chicks are delivered to the actual broiler grow-out farms. Processing plants. This is where chickens slaughtered and processed for meat. Now, let me show you the broiler industry statistics. Worldwide, from 1985 to 2005, the broiler industry grew by 158%. Major increases were experienced by China, Brazil, US, Thailand, and Europe. 2005, the major producers were the United States, China, Europe, and Brazil. Different breeds. Chicken breeds fall into three basic categories: egg producers, meat birds, and dual-purpose types. Broilers, in the second category, have been engineered to mature quickly, ready to market as early as 6 weeks of age. So these are the examples of broiler breeds: the Cornish crosses, red broilers, and the Delaware broilers.
Broiler housing facilities are made of wood farm and wood floored, usually are capable of being moved, not fixed in one place position, heat by the electric or soil-fired stoves. We should have a proper and appropriate housing in raising broilers. The house should be involved, temperature needed, and good air quality. A light can be monitored. As we all know, the most efficient way and operation of brooding is feeding and watering, and the other equipment possible needed should be provided and able to grow the chick. And always remember, the facility should be far from residential and industrial area and must have proper road and enough water supply and electricity. So, for avoiding of bad smell of waste, we should have a proper ventilation. And lastly, the egg room must be located near at the entrance to minimize the movement of people. Also, the feed store and office room should be near and the entrance. Most of all, the disposal of pet and sick should be contracted only at the end of the site. That's all.
Broiler feeding and nutrition, feed consumption and body weight. There are a number of factors that influence voluntary feed intake. Table on the next slide provides data on typical feed consumption and body weight for modern broiler chickens in relation to age and sex. Here's the table. Column 1, age. Column 2, the body weight for the male. Column 3, the cumulative feed intake for the male broilers. Fourth, body weight for the female broiler. And the fifth one is the cumulative feed intake for the female broiler. Broiler chicks can triple their hatch weight in the first 7 days and gain as much as 1.5 to 2 pounds in the last week. Broilers should be fed in a high-protein diet to help support this rapid growth. Broiler feeding and nutrition. Nutrient level for broiler diet. Feeding strategies for broiler chickens will vary depending on the target market or the final product. Strategies for feeding broilers destined for the whole bird market will differ from strategies from broiler destined to be sold as pieces. Furthermore, the nutrient intake of fast-growing broilers must be carefully controlled to prevent metabolic disease such as ascites and leg weakness.
So what is brooding? It is the period immediately after the hatch when special care and attention is given to chicks to support their health and survival. So why we do brooding? It is because a recently hatched chick has not yet developed their own mechanism to regulate its own body temperature. Hence, and it cannot maintain its body temperature properly for the first weeks. So remember, the purpose of brooding is to raise healthy chicks and provide the required heat until they are able to adapt and regulate their body temperature to the ambient temperature. So we have two classifications of brooding. Brooding is classified into natural and artificial brooding. So first, we have the natural brooding. So it is the simplest way of hatching a small number of eggs. A brooding hen or chicken will incubate her own eggs or of those another hen. And then on the other hand, artificial brooding can be defined as the handling of newly born chicks without the aid of hens. It is accomplished by means of a temperature-controlled brooder or a foster mother. So artificial brooding has several advantages over the natural method, which our chicks may be reared at any time of the season. So here, I will be discussing the brooding management in deep litter system. So in brooding, there must be things to do prior and after receiving the chicks. So here are the essential operations to be carried out after or prior to receiving the chicks. So first, cleaning and disinfection of poultry house. So cleaning and disinfection of poultry house is a must so that we can prevent any microorganisms like bacteria or parasites that may lead to cause diseases to the chicks. So poultry are very prone to the bacteria called Coccidia. It is a common bacteria responsible for an average of 20% death rate of a poultry. So this bacteria may lead to cause a disease called coccidiosis. It is a common and sometimes deadly intestinal disease caused by a parasitic organisms that attaches itself to a chicken's intestinal lining. So this parasitic invasions damages the intestinal tract, preventing the host chicken from absorbing nutrients vital to their survival. The next one is spread and litter materials. So these litter materials includes like paddy husk, wood savings, ground maize cob, chopped straw, salt husk, groundnut shell, dried crushed sugar, corn, or corn pulp, or etc. Mostly, the litter material used are selected based on locally availability and cost. So spread the litter materials to a depth of 3 to 4 cm in summer season for a better insulation. And then form a circle of about 5 feet diameter with a brooder guard which can hold about 200 to 250 chicks. So the brooder guard should be made from material which can be properly sterilized or plastic which is cheaper. It helps in preventing chilling and piling. Height of guard should be approximately 16 to 18 inches. So the guard will ensure chicks stay near the source of heat. And then the fourth one, newspapers, heat source, feederer, and waterer arrangement inside the brooder guard. So for the first few days, spread a simple paper or newspaper on the litter materials along with a sprinkle feed of ground maize grit. So this will help to avoid the chickens, or the chicks rather, eating the litter materials. And then the last one, check the brooder for proper temperature, and it must be of 90 to 95 degree Fahrenheit. So the brooder switch on at least 24 hours before the chicks arrive. And then, we also have the essential operations to be carried out after receiving the chicks. So first, after arrival of chicks, moist the peak and leave the chicks under heating source. And then the second one, maintain a brooder temperature of 90 to 95 degree Fahrenheit for the first week, and then you can reduce 5 degree every 5 degree Fahrenheit every week until it reaches the room temperature, which is 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And then on the first and second day, provide electrolytes and vitamins in drinking water to overcome stress. So electrolytes is any substance that produces ions when dissolved in solvent, usually water. It is an electrically conductive solution that must be present for colorations to occur. And then watch the behavior of chicks in order to find out whether the temperature provided is correct or less or more. In case of too much temperature, we can reduce the heat by reducing the power of the bulb, or we can raise the heating element. And in case of too low temperature, we have to supplement more heating source, or we can further down the heating element. Because too low or too high temperature will cause poor growth rate and ultimately poor performance of birds. So dapat tama gyud ang temperature na imong i-provide sa ilaha. And then 24 hours lighting program may be adapted during 0 to 8 days of age. And then 1 hour darkness may be provided to train the chicks in case of any power failure. So 1 hour darkness in chicks is advantageous while giving the birds some experience of darkness so that they are less apt to panic during electricity failure. So in case there will be power failure, mag-burn out ba kaha, dili na sila mabaguhan or magpanic, it is because they already trained to have 1 hour darkness or na-experience na nila daan. And then, remove the old newspaper after 3 days and destroy it by burning. So if necessary, spread another set of newspaper. And then the last one, you can remove already the brooder guard after 7 to 10 days depending upon the season.
Harvesting before and after. Feed withdrawal. The removal of feed to empty gastrointestinal tract or GIT contents reduces the risk of focal contamination at the processing plant. Feed should be removed from the flock 8 to 12 hours before the expected time of processing. Water should be available continuously until catching. The feed withdrawal process must be done in a balanced way considering bird welfare at all times. Complement the normal eating pattern of the flock. Allow birds to clean up all feed in the feeders and allow the GIT to be emptied without excessive weight loss occurring. Second, catching. During catching, minimize light intensity and avoid sudden increase in light intensity. Control and adjust ventilation carefully to avoid heat stress. Catch the bird with care. Avoid injury. Transport. Transportation should be done using suitable vehicle which provides adequate protection from the weather and appropriate ventilation. Are with the local current guidelines or legislation. And then, holding upon arrival. At the process plants, birds need to be held in a cool weather-proofed area. Humidity, temperature, and bird comfort should be routinely monitored and holding time prior to slaughter minimized.
Biosecurity. Health poultry are bright, alert, and active. Eat often and interact with others. Hold their heads high and have clean eyes and nostrils. Breathe silently and easily. Sick poultry. Swollen heads, dullness, reduced egg laying, rapid, labored breathing, diarrhea, loss of appetite, with reluctance to move, eat or drink, a droopy appearance, inability to walk or stand, unusual head or neck posture, change in the quality of feeders, sudden death. Biosecurity is inspect poultry daily and isolate birds at the first signs of illness. Report unusual signs of illness to a vet. Discuss vaccination of poultry with a vet as it has specialized tasks. Do not allow other animals, especially wild birds, to have contact with your poultry. Use good shed design, fencing, and hygienic feeding practices to keep wild birds separate from your poultry. Do not allow poultry to have access to water used by wild birds. Ensure poultry fed and water sources cannot be contaminated by water birds or other animals, pests, and rodents. Make sure your hands, clothes, and footwear are clean before having contact with poultry. Limit visitors to your birds. Ensure visitors to your poultry wear clean clothes and shoes, have clean hands, and have not contact with other poultry on the same day. Keep your equipment and poultry enclosures clean. Do not share equipment with other poultry owners unless it has been thoroughly disinfected. So that's the biosecurity.